go to the Q&A here now, and I'm going to open the floor wide open. We've got a lot of great speakers up here, one microphone. So here you can kind of put your hand up. I'll give you the mic, and then I'm going to run back to the speakers and let them talk. So,
Shannon, you spoke about how things are changing in business and how consumers are actually changing their demands. And there's definitely a switch because of how we've actually grown our food and processed it from seed to plate. What are your observations as far as you guys spoke about sustainability, all the packaging that you're minimizing? So a lot of people with gluten, allergies and intolerances, all that's coming up for diners and things like that. I would love all of your opinions, or whoever's most inspired to talk about how you're actually addressing the whole sustainability and health issue that's coming up because of the fact that we haven't actually really taken care of our planet and our bodies with the way we process foods.
Last year we went into the Vivre water, what you guys carry it right now. We used to average 1.5 containers a month of bottles of waters. Each container will have about 1,500 cases, about 12, and we eliminated that with one shot. So the amount of recycling alone, now forget about the recycling. This container had to go on a ship, come from Italy through the Mediterranean to the Atlantic, get dropped in the East Coast, goes on train, come all the way down here. And it's a massive for the environment. So we switched on that last year, and that's one of the things we do. From a business perspective, I mean, our goal is to make our customer happy every single day. Sometimes people will look at the menu and say, well, I'm a vegetarian. Just pick up the phone and call me. Yes, it is a steakhouse, and we have a fridge 20 by 20, and every cut of meat is hanging in, but we'll cook you vegetarian food if you want. Our job is to make the customers happy. And that's something we're always trying. Got to a point that sometimes we do it and the chefs get a tiny bit a little irritated, but I try to calm them down. We have 3 restaurants on one block, 15 feet apart. I get customers walking into Black and Blue, ordering sushi from Coast and pasta from the Italian kitchen. Or we have to see our waiters running across the street with the trays, and the chefs looking at me and say, like, there's nothing on my menu that they couldn't like, that I have to go for. I said, let's look after the customer, make them happy. So when you talk about sensibilities, or you talk about the product that we have, we definitely try to have lots of relationship with local products, but because of the massive operation that we do, big times that we cannot support the amount of operation that we do. I would get Steve have his own boats, and he would call me in the morning, send me a picture of the 100-pound halibut that he just caught. Well, there's not many restaurants that go to 100 pounds of halibut. Coast will take it and we will use it in 3 hours. So I say to him, can you get me 2? Well, Emad, I just caught one. So we go through that, but we still have to go outside of our resources to try to keep that massive machines going. Okay. Yeah, I'll pass it through. So it's something that we're very aware of, and we take it day by day, try to make the customers happy.
It is a big deal. It's really changing the way we do things, especially right down to the farm level. And that's one of the reasons that when we were looking at investing in the biogas plant, it makes a lot of sense to us. Because one of the things that restaurants and households, and when you're dealing with food, there's food waste, there's peels, there's food that doesn't get eaten, and all those sorts of things. And right now they're filling our landfills. And the biogas plant is one way that we are helping. We're finding that we can be sustainable and making a full circle. That gas, those noxious gases are normally just evaporating into the air, and now we are pumping them back and burning them to actually, we have the opportunity now to use our own gas through our relationship with Fortis to cook our own chips.
Just from a consumer point of view, one of our clients is Silver Hills Bakery, but the gluten-free trend is a massive trend right now. It is the highest grossing trend by far. It still represents a small portion, it's maybe about 2-3% maybe of say larger categories, but it's a massive issue. And what happens is you get consumers that buy gluten-free for one family member, but it's not like they buy double up. They'll buy that one gluten-free product, and then the rest of the family just has to eat it. So even though only, and actually this is probably a very interesting point here, is we're starting to only say 1 out of every 144 person is, say, gluten-free or celiac. But what you have is that there's been a lot of research in proteins of wheat. And what before is that it used to be called pest control, and you would then genetically engineer certain proteins that pests wouldn't want. But yeah, they're finding that maybe 7% of the population can't digest it easily. So you have people that are gluten sensitive, but not necessarily celiac, and that's going to be a massively growing trend. So if you are in the food industry, if you're not seriously considering gluten-free as a part of your strategy, you need to start.
I am gluten-free, by the way. It's something I just started a month and a half ago. I'm 26 pounds.
Really? You're telling everybody that?
In the food business, so we don't worry about it yet, but it's good.
So next question.
I just want to know where the name Roaring 20s came from.
Steve is no longer in his. I'm still in my roaring 20s. So when we started, we were 27 and 28, or 28, 29, whatever it was. Yeah, 28 and 29. And so that was our last kick at the can to make a stamp that might last longer than our 20s. And it was kind of a nod at that, and us having a lot of fun figuring things out, and that was the palette that we were going with at the time, so we still are, and I'm still in my 20s, thank God. Of course, Steve's over the hill now, so I think my default papers that we signed, I get more of the company now. But actually, I think it also kind of transcended into this hood. This neighborhood is really iconic for that era, especially in the rum running and whiskey trade. This building was built in 1923, and also, I guess the last one is, that's a pretty cool era in the sense that people were celebrating, and people weren't working corporate jobs anymore, and I think Vancouver is kind of like that in a sense. Everyone it's a cool city to be in. It's a really fun, energetic city, and everyone works a lot of cool jobs here. So it's not like Toronto per se, or a more corporate town. So. That's just that mood and that feeling was kind of something we wanted to bring to life again. And I know it's sad, but we're all going to be in our roaring 20s in about 7 years. So our generation's roaring 20s anyways.
For me, it's always about talking to people about the relationship with food. Chocolate's kind of interesting in the sense that it brings up more guilt than it does in a lot of things, and it's a very real thing that people often feel guilty when they eat chocolate. And so there's kind of a misconception. So it's really about, having a proper relation with food. To me, it's just really, so that's what I would talk about.
I would give my time to anybody's time. It's a known fact that I get emails all year long of students that they want to business or other, that they just want to sit down with me, and I'll make the time. I always make the time. I find the time somehow. So if they contact, I'll always make the time. Might not be next week, but I'll always make the time.
4.5 years ago, I moved here from Toronto, and one of the first things I did as a photographer was shoot the 101 Things to Eat Before You Die for Vancouver magazine. And I'm 95% sure you had chocolates in it, because I remember going to your place before, and I know the crackers were in it. So if you could pick one thing in Vancouver before you die, what would it be?
Let's start here.
I'd like Greg to cover one of my chips, chocolate.
I think that if anybody has ever, let's say, Coast, for example, you have their mussels, you have to try it, for sure. I'm not sure if you guys do that. It's excellent. So.
I would do car service at White Spot with the back seat of my truck with my kids, and we'd watch a movie, and they slide the tray in, and I would have a bacon and cheese burger with fries.
My husband and I are always trying to get Tojo to do that huff and fish. And so one day maybe we'll get him to prepare the fish. It's very, very hard to find a chef that will actually do that.
For me, I would actually throw it back at the Hardbite guys, and one of my favorite things when you open a bag of chips is when you get the one that's doubled over. So when you put it in your mouth, it's like the double crunch. If I could get a full bag, that's it. It would have to be hand selected, I'm sure, but that would be an absolute highlight.
How do I top that? Really? Add some ice cream or something, maybe? I think after we bottle for the next 3 days, 16 hours a day, maybe we'll take a couple bottles of wine over to Black and Blue and get those guys to make us something with our Melback. Okay, perfect. Did you guys hear that?
Come and visit me at the fish shack. I'm not leaving the fish shack.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, we can take it to the fish shack. Okay.
I have some pretty simple tastes, but one of my favorite things to absolutely is a baguette, sourdough baguette from Terra Breads, slathered in butter and jam and dipped in a good latte. And it's just, to me, that's just so good.
Hello, just for the Hardbite guys. I fell in love with your chips because I was in an in-store demo and it talked about the Himalayan sea salt that was in it. And I noticed in the new packaging it's not there anymore, it's listed. Is that going to change it back at all, or stick with just regular sea salt?
Yeah, we actually had the Himalayan debate. How many people here know what Himalayan crystallized salt is? Because you guys are foodies. Gosh, it is actually a very good salt. And I'm going to let you in on a bit of an insight. One of the issues with Himalayan crystallized salt is that it's very expensive salt. And the one good thing about it is that you don't need to use as much of it though in the application to create that same type of savory type of flavor with it. However, when we first came in, we realized that for about a year, not every package was actually using Himalayan crystallized salt, even though it was being advertised for them, right? No. So what we said is that obviously you can't do that, and so we went through a lot, and we actually did a lot of surveys, and 95% of our consumer base didn't really know what it was, and it was extremely expensive. And so if we wanted to keep the price down of the chips at the shelf, in order to sell more bags, we had to find ways to help decrease costs without sacrificing quality. And so we did a number of different tests on that, and we felt that using a very high-end sea salt still preserved the quality aspects of it, but it is something that we debated for a long time. Because personally, Himalayan crystallized salt is like the premium salt, but we felt people wouldn't pay $4.50 for a 150-gram bag, and that's just the reality of it right now.
If you've never seen Himalayan salt, come to Black and Blue. The whole meat cooler is made by salt, by the way. Himalayan salt. Yeah, and it is extremely expensive.
For the winery guys, what's been your biggest challenge this past year?
Even I still have found a way to own the good majority of this whole company, and that's been a really big challenge. We're really fortunate. The place you're in right now is the way you see it. We just had to do some production facade stuff, and it's still a friends and family build out. It really is. Like, we spent our lives here just getting it to look the way it is. When Emad talks about lighting and stuff, and I sit here and I go, God, we could probably spend another 50 grand in proper lighting, but proper sound, like actually the things that make a place special. We need to do that eventually, but we've been working so hard to keep what we're doing in our own hands and in our own sort of destiny. So it's been work on a shoestring budget. So that probably we feel like we've got more gray hair than we should have these days. But I think when you run a company really, really lean, you make decisions based on the need to haves, not the nice to haves. And so we also have two other partners that are extremely important to us in the way we make decisions, and completely, they're certainly mentors to us every single day. So I think the hardest thing has been running a lean ship with big aspirations. So every week we know we want to improve, we want to get better, we want the experience to be better. We just opened it up for the public, so Thursdays and Fridays here, the tasting bar is rammed. Like, it gets busier and busier, and it's really, really fun. It's a great place to come visit. The staff is amazing, but as you know, as you get busier in the restaurant industry, we never treated this place like a restaurant. We treated it like a tasting bar, which is more casual and it's experiential and it's more informative. Well, when you have more people coming in the door, you cannot just keep acting like it's a casual little tasting bar. That you have to be constantly on your toes, and what that means is you've got to be like make do with what you have, but also make the right investments in the right places. And when you do that with a lean budget, it's always a huge challenge.
Yeah, I think Mike touched on a lot of the same points I would say, but to add to that, we started Wine on Tap. It's a brand new category in Canada. Nobody had really ventured down it yet. We had to learn it from scratch. So we spent a lot of time traveling through the US and traveling through the largest 4 packagers in the US of Wine on Tap, wine in stainless steel kegs, and we learned it from nothing. Mike and I don't come from a winemaking background, we come from a wine drinking background. Helps. So, it's been a huge challenge over the last year to really understand the industry and forecast our growth in a brand new category. And a lot of people sitting up here and a lot of people in this room have experienced that, and you know how that feels. You're forecasting numbers into a black abyss and constantly trying to update those monthly and stay on top of your business is a real big challenge. So, for me, outside of what Mike said, our other big challenge is growing as fast as the market wants to grow and keeping up with that growth, and then staff challenges, having the right people. People make your business. It's, we pride ourselves on hiring exceptionally amazing people, and we have an amazing staff of almost 20 now, and we hope they're with us for a really long time. So, staff is always a big challenge of small business, but treat them well and pat them on the back as much as you can, and hopefully they stick around with you.
Important tip really quick for each of you.
Don't let your ambition run ahead of your ability.
Say, make sure that you have a very good differentiated position, so that you don't just create a Me Too product. You're really going to find out, is this really different in the market, and will people actually pay for it?
I would say that it has to be something you're passionate about, because if it's not your passion and not your love and not something that you would give up everything for, the amount of hours and work and stress and headache that takes into achieving that goal, you won't get there if it's not your passion.
The money always gonna come later. So know your concept, and just like she said, the hours is gonna be crazy, and as long as you know what you're gonna do, just stick with it and keep on it.
Say both those things, is the passion, which I said before, and stay focused. Whatever you want to go with, stay focused and stay the path.
I would reiterate, passion is like number one. If you don't have that, you shouldn't even start. The other part for us is never stop learning, and we live in such a cool age where you literally don't stop learning. So for your business and life and anything, just always be open to advice, keep learning, and that way your brain, if you've got an entrepreneurial brain, you'll naturally be innovative.
Yeah, I would reiterate everything said here. Those are all great points. To maybe add one more thing, if you're ever gonna produce something you're gonna sell, make sure your friends will buy it. If your friends don't like it, don't invest in it, and run away from that.
I would reiterate the passion, and truthfully, either have a really good accountant or really know your financials yourself really, really well.
Before I thank all the speakers, I just want to thank OK Crush Pad for the wine you drank tonight. And if anybody is looking to have some more wine after these talks, you can purchase wine at the back, any kind of wine that they have on tap here. Feel free to stick around, mingle, talk to the speakers. If they're still here, you can still talk to them. And I want to thank you very much to all the speakers tonight. Great job, very inspirational. I'm sure everybody enjoyed it.